Do you guys want to get better lap times around Barcelona GP circuit in the Super Formula Lights? Well, this might be the video for you. This is the weekly track guide that I do for the Super Formula Lights. And we are at Barcelona, the Grand Prix circuit. This track guide has a dry and wet session, just in case you want to use it for the wet sessions, which there aren't any in this season of Season 3, Week 2. But you never know, in the future, that might help you out as well. So yeah, this is the video for you. Like and subscribe, but let's crack on with it. Right then, yes, we are at the beautiful Barcelona circuit in the Super Formula Lights, which is week 2 of Season 3 2024, and this little scamp round here is very, very fun. I did do a Barcelona guide on the other layout, which you can check out wherever I put it on the screen. But yeah, that is the other layout. In my opinion, the better layout. It's got a nice open hairpin, and the 2 last corners are absolutely fantastic. This layout is with the tight chicane at the end, so the penultimate corners are that tight chicane, which is very, very awkward, and it has the yellow sausage curbs of unaliving, so please watch out for them. And that gives a metaphor of the whole circuit. If it's yellow, avoid it. Like yellow cars in iRacing, avoid them. They're dangerous. You should leave them alone. Give them a big meter-long stick of avoidance and you'll be absolutely fine. Otherwise, it's a good little circuit for this. Lots and lots of downforce in the Super Formula. We are using the fixed iRacing setup for this, so you guys can have a look and have a decent race, and therefore it's a straight comparison between my lap and hopefully your lap. If you can improve it on the fixed setup, hopefully you can be faster than me, because that is the aim of the game. The open setup will be a little bit quicker. It'll have a bit more straight line speed to it and probably equal downforce, so the open setup will be naturally quicker, but you can still use this guide as braking points and then adjust them as you need to, depending on what speed you're doing. But as mentioned, we are doing a dry lap, so this is the dry lap here, and we are doing a wet lap. Yes, the wet weather. Now, the wet weather has been reduced in iRacing from its Season 2 to Season 3. So moderate, which is what I use these on, is generally a little bit less than what it was before. So last season's track guide are going to be sort of heavy rain. This is going to be more moderate, which is what I think it should be, to be honest. There's a lot less puddles, a lot less rivers, a lot less oceans around. If you want to see the 2 settings that I use fixed settings. They're on screen right now. I use fixed settings because I want the settings to be the same through the entire practice session. So therefore we get a good baseline of what the actual car can do in certain lap times. Fun fact, the old lap time around the faster circuit, with the better last sector, I'm actually quicker on this. So it shows you how much rain is lessened in this series. So your lap times for last season, should be completely different now in any circuit that you do run in the wet. But yeah, this is the wet one. If you are going to watch a video all the way through, please watch the wet ones, because there'll be some useful tips in there for general wet weather driving anyway, and it would really help the video as well if you did watch it all the way through, because that would be awesome. Otherwise, I think that's enough of me waffling. Let's crack on with the breakdown laps. Oh yeah, like and subscribe please. Thank you very much. Right then, Barcelona, the GP layout. Now, this will be a slipstream fest, particularly on the fixed setup. If you get a good open setup, you should be able to defend down here, but slipstream will be very, very strong. It is a huge start-finish straight, but we are hunting for turn 1, and you want to use a service road just after the 100-meter marker. Just when you get to it, stand on the brakes. Don't go over the entry curb too much, because there is an off-track and you can bottom out the car. Get as close as you dare to the yellow sausage curb without touching it. It'll be fine, and this turn 2 is absolutely flat out, and you don't need to worry about it. Bring the car over to the left-hand side ever so slightly mid-circuit, because you can get around here flat out. You want a nice, smooth steering angle through here. Give the curb here a cheeky little tickle, and then let the car sort of drift out as you open up the steering to try and maximize your straight line speed down to turn 4. Let it drift out. Be careful when you are racing side by side, because if you go left, there is an off track out there, so be cautious. But we're using the braking marker of the shadow of the bridge, or just before we go under the bridge. Nice and deep into this corner. Cut it back for a nice late apex and get on full throttle as early as you can, and you should be absolutely fine through there. Coming down to the very tricky off camber turn 5. Brake about this point when you can just about see the corner over there, right on the left hand side. Brake nice and gently. Do not lock a front tire, and get a nice late apex through here. Give the curb a little cheeky tickle. Get on full power as early as you can, and use all of the exit curb right here, and you should be fine. Get any close to the gravel and you will get an off track, so bear that in mind for qualifying. Coming under the bridge now, coming to the very awkward turn 7, I think it is. We brake just before the curbing here, but use all the curbing on entry as best you can. Little dab of brakes all the way in, coast it into the corner, and then once you get to that apex, you know you're not going to run wide. Full throttle it, and again, avoid that yellow sausage curb just there on the right-hand side. Bring the car over to the left-hand side of the circuit now, and we're using the curb here as an entry point for our turn-in. Absolutely flat out apex after the yellow sausage curb just there, because you get a bit more rotation on the curb, and it also means you don't get an off-track or a slowdown when you run too far wide on the left-hand left-hand side curb there, so bear that in mind. Bring the car over to the right-hand side now, and we're braking just at the 100-meter marker, probably a little bit forward. Really stand on the brakes here. Do not use the curb, unsettles the car under braking. All the way down to first gear. Give the curb a little cheeky tickle. Don't cut it too much because it is like Mount Everest, and bear that in mind. Nice smooth application of throttle. Do not touch that yellow sausage curb on the exit. This little kink here is weird, but just after we come off it and we're pointing into the heart of the corner, this is where we want to brake now. Nice and steady through this one. Hug the curb like it's your favorite nan, and when you get to the yellow sausage curb, start feeding that power and get full throttle. There is not a lot of exit curb, so be careful of the gravel trap just down on the left-hand side. And we're looking far left now to that flag board that doesn't work in iRacing, but that's our braking point when we get to it. Miss the sausage curb. I do hit it, but you want to miss it ideally because I do bounce all over the curb, and you want to use that advertising gantry just above your head there as a braking point for this one. Nice and slow for this one. You can go in first to get more rotation, but then you change up to second. And it's all about the good exit here. That's why you want to be on second gear. Be careful of the yellow sausage curb on exit. But this last corner here is absolutely flat out. So turn 15, you need to get that right. 100% you need to get that right. Compromise 14 to get 15 right, and it will give you free lap time all the way down the straight. Once your car is full throttle, it can only accelerate as quick as you can. But this is on to the wet. Right then, wet weather time, and we're hunting down for turn 1 again, and we want to avoid all racing lines, so please bear that in mind because they are rubberized and they are slippery. So we're just off the left-hand side of the curve there, but we're using the similar braking marker, so the 100-meter board, so it's a little bit forward when we're braking the dry, obviously because with less grip, but then I move to the outside and I go hugely deep into the corner. I get a little bit too close to the rubbered line there. You see me just twitching a little bit, and I'm going all the way around this puddle here. This corner's not too bad, but tease that throttle in and you'll be absolutely fine. A little bit of snap there as we cross the rubberized line. Go far left-hand side here. Again, you will need to lift through here. This is not flat out in the wet. You want to coast it around the corner. Again, leaving a good couple of car width, on the right-hand side curb there. And be careful. Do not touch that green concrete / astroturf that's out there on the left-hand side. It is as slippery as ice, so bear that in mind. Bring the car to sort of the middle-ish of the circuit, and we want to brake just at the bridge again, just before it. Brake in a nice heavy straight line, and this will enable you to go deep into the corner as well. Nice all the way around the outside. Do not go anywhere near that curb because it is terrifying, but be careful of the sort of snap oversteers that you sort of get around this point where we cross the rubberized line, but I'm trying to get to the far right-hand side of the circuit at this point just to avoid the exit curb that appears just over the brow there. And we want to stay left-ish about this point because we want to brake off the race line. This is downhill, so even more gentle braking. So around here, way before in the brake. Again, diagonal across to the outside of the corner because there's the grip, and again, don't get too close because you see you have little twitches like that if you get too close to the rubberized line, so ideally you don't want to do that. You want to go around the outside where it's nice and grippy. Careful of the curb on exit because it is as slippery as anything. Bring the car to the sort of the left hand middle of the circuit, and we want to brake nice and deep into this corner, probably about here, way before the curbing starts there on the right hand side. Again, go nice and deep into the corner. I turn a little bit too early, to be fair. You see it understeers, and then as I get to the outside, it sort of gripped up and begins to rotate. Be careful of the curb here because again, curbs are unaliving territory, and be careful of that little snip there as well. You'll be absolutely fine. Coming to this absolutely flat out kink that is not flat out in the wet, so we're using the curbing here, and we want a big lift and go very, very deep into the corner. Same principle as turn 1. You want to leave like 2 car widths, maybe 1.5 to the apex curb there, and then be careful of the exit curb because again, we don't want to touch the curbs. Are you getting the message out yet? So hairpin time, middle of the circuit is absolutely a safe place to be, and we're probably braking about the 100-meter mark just before it. Stand on the brakes, quite good braking performance here, but careful, don't lock up the tyre. And it doesn't matter about this one because this is slow enough that you can actually take sort of an ish racing line, but over-rotate the car just to stay away from the curb here. Because you see there, look at that slide there. So be prepared when you're on the wet line trying to accelerate, be cautious. Big lift here through this kink, and then when you're staring into the heart of the corner, we want to tickle the brake and let the car drift all the way out right. Again, leaving maybe 1.5 car's width on the inside. See the yellow sausage curb start cutting back to the rubberized line. Be careful of the snap as well, but we need to do that because it helps our exit to stay away from this curb on the left-hand side. Coming into the last sector now, and it is very, very tricky, so we're braking way before that marker point that we used in the dry. Nice and gently on this one, try and avoid the curb, but I do give it a little cheeky tickle because it's not too bad as you're getting through there, but again, stay middle of the circuit. We're using the gantry again, but we're just using it a little bit earlier than what we would in the dry. So again, brake to the outside, nice and slow through here. You can take the cursor because we're going so slow it doesn't really matter. And again, you want to try and get a maximum exit out of this corner and avoid the left-hand side of the circuit as I get onto here, because there is a curb there that will spin you around quite easily. Round the outside of this last corner, and you should be absolutely fine for the start-finish straight. But again, we're hovering the throttle and we're just being cautious. We're trying to apply as much as we dare without spinning out. But that is us done and dusted with a lap. The line does come up quite quick, which is fantastic, but that is us done in the wet. It's terrifying, but it should be fun. Good luck out there. Right then, both laps done and dusted, so fingers crossed this can help you minimize that lap times over your sessions and have some good races as well for Barcelona. It's a good circuit. This final sector around here is a little bit treacherous, a little bit clumsy in sort of any car really. I don't really like it. They've changed it. Well, F1 now goes around the proper layout, I call it, which is much more fun and much more fun in Formula cars as well. But yeah, like and subscribe if you have made it this far. Do appreciate you guys, and yeah, I'll see you all for next week's guide.